Okay, making a video showing you how to go through and choose a processor or a CPU, whichever you want to call it, which CPU stands for Central Processing Unit, basically just your computer processor. Now, there's two types out there. There's Intel and AMD, and each one of them makes several different processors, and you can use whichever you prefer. Me personally, I like the new AMDs, but over the years, I've used both AMD and Intel. I've used many different ones, so it's all down to what you prefer, but just for the sake of the video, we're going to use this one. Now, a few things you want to pay attention to is how many cores the processor has, the speed they run at, and how many threads. And to give you more detail, we're going to go to actual AMD site, because Amazon has specs, but not that many, and it's usually better to go to the actual manufacturer site to see the full list of specifications that they have. So we're going to click here. And okay, of course, as Amazon listed, it has 8 cores and it has 16 threads. Now you're probably wondering what the difference between this is. Okay, 8 cores means the actual number of CPU processors that are on this chip. There are actually 8 processors in this chip, 8 cores. Threads is basically kind of like a virtual processor. It's a set of instructions and things that they've created to make them look like another processor. It helps with it, but it's actually not a processor. Like I said, it's just kind of a virtual processor. Intel calls it hyper-threading, but AMD probably has a slightly different term for it. But basically, they makes it run a lot faster. You can tell the difference between one that has it and doesn't, especially if you use in the past, like when Pentium 4 first came out with Intel's Pentium 4 with the hyper-threading. There was a big difference. But like I said, so 16, it acts like there's 16 processors on here instead of 8. And so that's really awesome. The max overclock that it has as far as the manufacturer one of the motherboard is 4.4. Basically, that's just the max speed it's going to run at. However, since this thing is unlocked, you can use custom settings and go much higher than that as long as you have the proper cooling and set things right. Granted, when you're overclocking, there's always a chance of damage, which is probably why they have this little warranty. Yeah. Warning, not warranty. Excuse me. Another thing to pay attention to if you're doing overclocking is the max temp, because you definitely do not want to reach out or exceed that, because that's when you can cause damage to the processor. I generally like to set the motherboard, because most motherboards have a fail-safe temperature guard on there where you can set where it shuts things off if it reaches. I usually like to set it 5 degrees below whatever the max temp is, which in this case is 95, so I would set the temperature at 90. That way, if it got anywhere near there, it would shut off the board, because you should not be getting anywhere near that temp, even overclocking. You should be keeping that processor cool. Which there's other coolers you can do things like that. Now, something else, speaking of coolers, you want to see if the processor comes with one. And if you're planning on overclocking, you're not going to want to use the one that comes with it. You usually want to use something external, like a much bigger fan or liquid cooling or closed loop liquid coolers. There's all types of them out there that can cool much stronger than the manufacturer's fan that comes with them, the fan and heat sink. Also, you want to pay attention to the socket type, because this is very important when you go choose a motherboard. You're going to want to find a motherboard that has the socket type, otherwise the processor will not work with it. Now we got some other things listed here, the cache, L1, L2, L3. Like, these are the memory, basically memory for the processor, and where they're located, L1 being actual on the processor, and that. Just like I said, that's a little more detail I want to go into for this, but in short, it's memory for the processor. The higher the number, the better. And another thing to pay attention to, I want to find, yeah, oh, there it is. I knew it was on here somewhere. Is what I call the bus speed of the processor, but this is the max speed of when you're looking for memory. When you go choose a memory for the motherboard, you don't want to find memory any faster than this, otherwise it's not going to work with it. You'll have to slow it down. But that's basically giving you an idea of the max speed that this processor supports in memory. And that's the bus speed of the memory, which we'll be going over that in another video when I go over memory, so keep an eye out for that. This also lets you know what type of memory it supports, so the motherboard you're getting must support DDR4, otherwise it will not work with this. And that's pretty much about all I'm going to go over on this. That's good enough for this video. Well, we'll go with this. This kind of gives you an idea of how much power that processor draws. Which, when you're overclocking, it will pull more than that, especially if you change the voltage and everything else. But for running at the normal speeds that it shows, this is what the power draw will be. And that's enough for that for now. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to let me know, and I will help you out as best as I can.